Greetings and salutations. It's Adam with ArcadeHeroes.com, and a big salute to Blake in the chat who let me know about what you're seeing on my screen right here. Just passed. The Fast and Furious Arcade has been added to the Raw Thrills website, so let's take a look at that and see what they've unveiled. I missed a chance at seeing this game when it debuted at Bowl Expo in Las Vegas this past June, because at the time my brother, who works here at the arcade with me, got COVID, and so he had to stay home, and I also had to stay here at work, so couldn't go and check it out. But we've been waiting since that was unveiled for a little more info, and there hasn't been a lot to go off of, but now that we have this official page, we can see the attract mode, which we'll watch in a moment. But first, we got a new cabinet shot. This is not unlike the shot that I've seen out there. Some people like JDevi have sent me links to stuff like this over at Betson. They're an arcade distributor, a company you'd buy something like this from. They have a special leasing deal going on for Fast and Furious Arcade right now, leased for 48 months at $535 a month with a $7,500 residual, which means after the end of 48 months and these payments, then you have to pay $7,500 if you want to keep it. And so they've got that going up until October 31st. I did send a text to somebody that I know at Raw Thrills about the game and asked if it's shipping this month, but he hasn't responded yet. So I'll keep my eyes on that just in case it has. But either way, the cabinet shot here, they are slightly different in that Raw Thrills, ever since they came out with MotoGP, they have offered with certain games these different colors that you can get. And so looking at the pair of these, go to the Betson Fast and Furious page. You got red, orange, neon green, and yellow to choose from. Now, the machine is available as a single cabinet if you want to do that, but nobody likes buying a racing arcade machine with just one. I mean, it's happened plenty of times before. In fact, I do have a couple in my arcade, Chase HQ2, which could link up to 2 units, but I only bought one at the time. Almost wonder if I should have bought 2. But there's also Batman Arcade, which Raw Thrills did, and that one could link up to 2, but it really wasn't that great as a 2-player game. It was more of a just a 1-player, and so something like this you'd want at least 2 to grab. But Blake mentions in the chat that the artwork on the side here gives him some vibes from the first game. And really quick, if we jump over to the Raw Thrills Games page, and everything that's on the games page would show you what is currently available to purchase from a distributor that's currently in production in one way or another. But if it's out of production, you go to the archive, and this is where you can see all of their past items, all their past games and whatnot. Kind of surprised that Batman's not on there. I didn't see it on the games page, but maybe I missed it. Anyways, we go Fast and the Furious. What he's talking about would be, this is one of Raw Thrills' first game. Their first game was Target Terror, and then they came out with this. This was originally called Hot Cars, but then they decided, that sounds kind of lame. Why don't we just get a license of something popular right now? And that was the Fast and the Furious movies, and put it on there, and so that's what they did. But actually, if I'm not mistaken, the very first game is the only one that has any sort of connection to the movies, in that, at least on the side art here, you have Paul Walker and Vin Diesel, but within the game itself, it didn't have anything like that. No likenesses of characters, no movie lines. This is, as far as I remember, and same goes for this. You don't have any actors' likenesses on anything there. But, of course, this was way back in the day when they used to do upright driving cabinets. That's something you rarely see anymore. But if this is the first time you've been seeing anything about Fast and Furious Arcade, this would be the 5th in the series, because you had the Fast and Furious, which was 2004, Tokyo Drift, which was 2007, Superbikes, the first one, 2006, or Fast and Furious Superbikes, which was 2006, and Fast and Furious Supercars, and so that'd be 4. There is Superbikes 2 and Superbikes 3, but neither of those have the Fast and Furious license attached to them, and so, you say it's the colors? Yeah, I could see that. I mean, this one has kind of a orange, black, yellow sort of theme going on overall, and they got some of that with the explosions there, although there's a little bit more green on this one. One thing that I've heard from operators before is that if a cabinet's green, it's not going to earn. I don't know if that's true. There's not been many green cabinets that I've ever come across, but the last time the Fast and Furious license was used in arcades would have been Supercars, which came out 2010, 2011, somewhere around there. I had this as a conversion kit. All those previous versions had been available as a kit, so you could take something like a Cruisin' USA, Cruisin' World cabinet, convert it over to Tokyo Drift or Supercars. That's what I did for many years. And Supercars started to add some elements to it that they borrowed from Maximum Tune, such as showing you a sign of what the road was going to do within like 50 meters or something like that. And this also added achievements to it. But if we look at the description of this game, it says, Raw Thrills has been making amazing driving games for the last couple of decades. It's been an unending string of hits, from the original Fast and the Furious to Drift and Supercars, and then Cruisin' Blast, our biggest driver ever. For each new simulator, our goal is to blow away everything that came before. It's gotten so hard that for our new game, we're throwing any and everything at it to blow away every driving game in history, 4 exclamation points. We're talking Thrill the Emotion, killer 5-channel audio to die for. Standard 43-inch screen, forget about it. We got not one, but two 65-inch UHD screens. 5 exclamation points. The sparkling LED bejeweled, comfy driving cockpit, you name it, it's there and more. So they have secret missions, 3 exclamation points, 6 wild tracks, 3 points, link up to 8 games, 4 exclamation points. This was originally said to do 4 games at a time, but now it's up to 8. So they should put 8 exclamation points there. Incredible drifting, 4 exclamation points. Shortcuts galore, 3 exclamation points. 8 supercars. Huh, only 8. I thought they might have more. And then QR code stats, 3 exclamation points. And welcome to our most immersive, action-packed, and intense driving game ever, Fast and Furious Arcade. And then we got some screenshots. Well, maybe I'll get to this later. Let's watch the trailer, or the attract mode. Forget about it. Extreme supercars. But only 8 of them. Get yourself a Corvette Z06. 63 Corvette Grand Sport. Shelby GT 500 KR. Ford Bronco DR. That other one a Lamborghini, I think it was, but it didn't mention it for some reason. 70 Dodge, 67 Shelby. A lot of classic cars, but I guess modded to be more freak or modern. Modded to be modern. Plenty of paint jobs. You can go to the Swiss Alps, Abu Dhabi, Havana, Colombia, Yellowstone, and Hong Kong. Yeah, not sure who might have done the music on this. Guess we'll find out once we see it at a trade show. I'll be at IAAPA next month, where this will definitely be there. So that's Fast and Furious Arcade. Latest from Raw Thrills. So down here with some other materials, they actually have a manual. Let me zoom in a little here. It's a little weird. Why is it moving over to the side? So this would be the shot that's on the Betson website. Now, it is very common these days for manuals to not come with the machines. They are just posted online as PDFs, and then they're able to update them accordingly. And usually the first version of the manuals is not very descriptive. You know, you have a lot of very standard things. The specs and warnings and whatnot. Looks like so for the electrical, which this is important to arcade ops who need to know how much electricity the game might draw. So voltage is all standard, 120 volts, 60 hertz. You know, that's normal for United States, Canada, but it operates at 20 amps, so 10 amps per cabinet. Now, of course, if you're international and you're using 230 voltage, it always cuts the amps in half, and so it would be 10 total. But yeah, that, at least in my place, that would take up one entire circuit to run the machine. But I've heard stories about Asphalt 9 Legends Arcade DX, which also is a motion arcade game, and you have to, I think I heard stories of them having to install new electrical just for that game. And operating temperature from 50 degrees to 104 degrees. So no operating in Iraq, most likely. And then you got your dimensions here in both imperial and metric. Approximate weight, 1,100 pounds. That might be for 2. And that has the single and twin cabinet setups. Hi, how's it going?
Good, and you?
Good, good.
Mike with any hour here to look at the air conditioner?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I was confused. I was at the other arcade bowling alley.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah,
So-
that happens all the time.
So, I talked when I was looking for everything. We are not on the insurance list for the mall. So I'm working on getting that. I promised them I wouldn't look at anything until we got on the list.
Sure, because I know
So-
the mall needs to have that. and
Right.
Everything
they're like, well, we have a whole list of HVAC, plumbing, and we just aren't a part of that.
Gotcha.
Group, so
Gotcha.
I'm just waiting on my management team to get back with me.
Okay.
So
I mean, for what the mall told me, it was sometime last week. Went to turn the AC on, didn't turn on, and like I haven't been up there. I never go up there.
Right.
But from what they said, they looked at it and a panel's missing and it was shut off. So I don't know, somebody that's been working on the roof up there might have done that.
And they say they've got their own maintenance and everything.
Right.
And I'm just like, do they change filters and not turn it back on?
Right.
You know, is it something that simple?
Yeah,
Which
could
very
be.
well could be.
Right.
See it all the time. All the time. I'm going to go ahead and go up there and see what that panel is. If you wouldn't mind letting me know where I need to go to get up on the roof. Or do you know?
So there's a trash compactor in the parking lot here. So you have like the mall management office that you might have gone to.
Yep.
So it's just, you have their garage, which is next to that, and then there's this trash compactor. So we're directly
in line
with the trash compactor. So yeah.
Is there a ladder right there?
Not that I'm aware of, but I think there is a ladder just further down by the mall management office.
Is it inside anywhere?
I think it's on the outside, but I never really paid attention, so that I'm not 100% sure about.
Well, I'm going to try my best to get up there. If I need to stop back by mall management, I will do that, and we'll go from there. But I'll let you know where we get with this. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank
You're
you, Mike.
Adam, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Perfect. On the right track.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, our AC went out, and so it's been kind of miserably hot here, even though it hasn't been really hot here in Salt Lake itself too much. It's been kind of in the 70s for most of the days recently, but still in an arcade, I never have to turn on heating in the winter time, because once you get all the games on in here, it gets so toasty that, just no need to spend that, but do need AC, and so it's been a little... getting that taken care of is what that was all about. So an exciting insight into the daily operation of an arcade here when your AC goes out. And as for the insurance, it was that company didn't have their insurance on file. Anybody who comes to the mall to do maintenance in the mall has to have insurance on file. Their company with the mall management. It has nothing to do with me. And so that's what that was all about. But anyways, we have all your dimensions, which I'm sure you've had more than enough time to take a look at. And then the manual gets into setting up and assembling the cabinet. Although, what's this? Oh, lower monitor installation. I would hope you wouldn't have to install the monitor, but maybe that's what they're doing now, is just sending the TVs separately, and then you have to mount that to the end. Oh, and you can see here from this diagram, let me zoom in. This is the air compressor to control the 3LD motion seat. And you also have to put on the top monitor mounting bracket. I'm sure that would be great if I got one of these and did an unboxing video on it. This would be quite the thing to put together, but I have no plans because I cannot afford one of these right now, and my competitors down the hall will probably end up getting one anyways. And so then you check settings, start up the game. So yeah, it's just a pretty much how to set it up. Does get into the menu stuff here, but oftentimes it's just screenshots, and it doesn't always tell you everything you want to know about it. Although the QR high scores, now on Raw Thrills' website, not a lot of people know about this. If you go to the high scores tab, and then you pull up the Hall of Fame, and so any Raw Thrills game that has a QR code that shows up after you've played the game, you can scan that using any QR scanner on your phone, and that will allow you to essentially record your score. And they have monthly t-shirt giveaways for that. Now, how many people actually know about this, participate in it, I don't know. A couple of my games like Jurassic Park Arcade and Cruisin' Blasts and Galaga Assault have these, but I've pretty much never seen anybody use them. I have tried it once or twice, but you'll see right here, Fast and Furious Arcade is there, and it looks like there is some place out there, Fun Place Game Station, Do not know where that is. Now, the operator that buys one of these has to go into the menu, and this is what this is talking about, the account test and everything, to set that up so you can put in your location. It's probably not a bad idea to put in, you know, what state you're in or country or all that stuff, but this is tracking scores for the 6 different tracks. Now, it looks like from this there's only one place out there. I think all these blank ones are probably just Rothrail's testing stuff out, and so this will obviously change over time. But if you are anywhere near this place called Fun Place Game Station, wherever that is, then you can go and play this game already, looks like. But of course, a lot of people do not, although it might even just be testing, somebody testing as hello. Not sure. So that's what that's talking about there. Change the price. It has an e-ticket mode, so if you want to give away tickets, yay. Bonus pricing stuff. Difficulty. Can adjust the game difficulty. I wonder. It's rare that I've seen a difficulty setting in Rothrail's games. Usually it's a time to die counter. And you can turn off the high score thing if you want to make your game lame. And upgrades, and so this is something that I know Wilcox Arcade talked about before, criticizing them. It's kind of a I don't want to say pay to win sort of thing, microtransaction sort of thing. I think you put in more credits and you can buy stuff. Granted, that sort of thing did exist in the first Fast and Furious games, but then again, this is saying this allows the players to purchase upgrades before the start of a race. So I would think you would want to keep that on. Auto start the game when the player inserts credits, so they don't have to push the start button. Free race for head-to-head win. So that's something that people generally love, but the default, interestingly enough, is off. And enable disable voiceovers during a race and in the menus. Don't know why you'd want to turn that off. Same thing with enable disable pickups, includes nitro and electric pickups. Don't know what the electric is. Enable missions gameplay, or make it just a race only. I would also think you would want to keep the missions on, although it's not entirely clear what those are. I mean, they kind of sound like achievements, and just with a certain goal in mind. And you can even play the highest resolution movies possible. Turn it off if you experience stuttering. It's always kind of interesting to look through manuals and see what settings there are, and I'm sure there's multiple languages that are supported, audits for knowing how well the game's doing, motion and control calibration stuff. Still using the Rio board. Now, we do see here that this uses a Lenovo M70T desktop, and I decided to look that up, see where it's at. And we were having a discussion on the Arcade Heroes Discord about this, where it does suck that there's not proprietary hardware systems for arcades anymore. Like, there are the most famous ones from arcade history would probably be Sega's Model 1, 2, and 3 platforms that they developed. And of course, prior to the 2000s, it was always the case that a company would be making their own hardware. But as development dollars moved away from the arcade industry and more into the console industry, and the costs of developing new hardware just became so expensive, that's why they focus on PC. It makes development a lot less expensive. It makes the hardware side less expensive, and so it makes it so that we're not paying, $40,000 for a game that otherwise might be $7,000 to $10,000. But this looks like a decent mid-range PC from what I could gather. It uses an Intel Pentium Gold G6400 processor. I don't know how that compares to other and it can go up to 64 gigs of RAM. I doubt this game needs to use all that. And then the graphics, it has multiple options. It's integrated Intel UHD graphics, but from what we saw, driving two 4K screens and keeping that consistently at 60 frames a second, I highly doubt they're going to rely on an Intel card for that, but which one of these they might have gone with. Most likely they would go with the NVIDIA one, because from my understanding, Rothrills is generally done NVIDIA. But interesting note in arcade history, ATI originally was created to develop graphics cards for arcade machines, but of course they found that it was more lucrative to go into the PC sector. But your graphics cards have a touch with arcade history there. So we don't know exactly the setup from that, other than we just know that it's a Lenovo, and I'm not 100% certain if this is the first time Rothrills has ever used Lenovo. They've used Dell, they've used HP, so anybody that works out for what they do. Yep, we're open.
Oh, okay, I wasn't sure.
No, you're fine. If there's anything that's off that you want to play, let me know. I can turn it on.
Alright. You finished with them? Oh, yeah, it's right here. I was trying to find it.
You got your recovery options, troubleshooting, all that stuff. Although this will probably change over time if there's any specific issues to the game. It has to go in a very specific way, like it shows on the like face up in that direction. If not, it just doesn't take it.
My fault.
No, you're fine.
Twisting the corners.
Oh, and this is where you can put your card reader of various different types.
There's like 4 in them? Yeah.
And the type of hole you have to drill, I guess, with that. I'm guessing this will probably be updated because this just look like gibberish to me, and when it should be not gibberish, I would assume. But yeah, that's the manual. So let's check out some screenshots from this. They've only got 6, but these are obviously not direct screenshots from what the players would see on the game, and it's also only a single one instead of 2. Very explosive. This would be Havana from the Cuban flag there. Do they use these types of speed limit signs in Cuba? I don't know. Never been there. In Hong Kong, I would guess. And probably Yellowstone? Although when I went to Yellowstone, I don't remember seeing dishes like that. Hey guys, please don't do that with the shifter. Thank you. I am tired of shifters on games. I will not complain that Fast and Furious has no shifter, because every single day I have to do that. So, well, whether or not they're still making Fast and Furious movies doesn't really matter in the arcade. This game will make money in arcades. And the thing is that I've always thought interesting about the Fast and Furious arcade machines is that they have practically nothing to do with the movies at all. It's just the name that they license. I mean, it is licensed from Universal, but like in this, as you probably noticed, like even here, you don't have like Vin Diesel or a Paul Walker likeness or anything. Obviously, that would drive the cost of the game and the licensing up if they had anything from it. Although I do think it would be cooler if they did happen to have, something from the films more than just the name. But did want to point out something that was revealed to me a while back from Jay Devi. He discovered one of the artists on the Fast and the Furious has his portfolio. This is public, and so you're able to see some of the work that he did on Fast and Furious Arcade. And so here you can see the classic 70s Charger and look around these 3D models. I guess you can click here for a little note. Lifted fenders, so I mean obviously you got your original non-modded one, but hey, even textured the bottom, even got all the brake lines there, I think. But and then here's your super modded version. But also has, oh wait, this would be from Superbikes 3 starting lines. So this guy's done a bunch of stuff for Rothrills. I'm not sure if this is from the Swiss Alps or if this would be Yellowstone. I've not heard of military drones being used in either place, but what do I know? And to me, these assets here almost look like assets you might find in Unity. that's fine. When you're driving by at several hundred miles an hour, it doesn't really matter. 3D stage shot silo track. Is that Superbikes? I think it might be. Gotta see if I can get back to... Let's go here and find the... Okay, so we have Alps cottages. So these would be buildings you would see when you play Fast and Furious Arcade. This one's in Yellowstone. Now, granted, I don't remember seeing a building like this in Yellowstone. It might have been made up, or maybe it's just something I missed. Kind of a almost European style tower, set of towers, Eldo Gold. Oops. So, if you're into texturing, modeling, and all that stuff. And then more from Yellowstone here. Okay, so yeah, it looks like the drones and the jets and all that stuff happens in Yellowstone. So this would definitely be one of the things you'll see if you play the game. I imagine you can run into these and send them flying. Also same with the garbage and everything. Andy's Lodge. That's actually a little Easter egg. So the vice president of Raw Thrills, his name is Andy Eloff. And so that's what this is probably alluding to. The Fuel Star. I can't really see that with the bloom. It looks like Ben and John's something. Not sure if anybody else can tell what that is. Some more lodges. Just kind of interesting to me to look at some of these things being worked on for the asset. Okay, so it looks like the satellite dishes are in the Alps level. And funny enough, there's fighter jets blowing stuff up in the Alps. That's one thing about Fast and Furious cruising games, because one thing to keep in mind if you're not familiar with Raw Thrills, this is Eugene Jarvis's company, same guy who did the Cruisin' series. And so, yeah, one of the things they look for when making an arcade racer is to have it be as over the top as possible. No, it's not realistic. It's not supposed to be a simulator, but they earn well. They do very well in this business, and so no complaints there. That would be from Superbikes 3. Now here is very interesting. So another Easter egg towards Eugene's history. Notice the text here, Robo Racer Oil. That's the Robotron 2084 font. So just a nice little wink, wink, nudge, nudge to Eugene's history in the game there. And that's better than what was found in Nerf Arcade. Nerf Arcade has the SS Defender, but it's like Comic Sans font, which is kind of lame, instead of the actual Defender logo. And so they probably can't use the Robotron logo itself because of the licensing and all that stuff, because it's not Eugene's property anymore. It's Warner Brothers. But you can use the font for Robotron and use that there for wherever this part is in Fast and Furious Arcade. And here's the Toyota Supra and upgrades model. Yes, I am broadcasting from my arcade. I am open, so that's where I've had some customers around looking at stuff, playing games. Just had some Maximum Tune get played. That's what the Supra looks like when it's upgraded. Although, I did not see that on the trailer for, unless I missed it. But they did not mention a Toyota Supra. Maybe this is just something else. Maybe he just did it for fun, I don't know. Or one of the other Raw Thrills games, because he does have a bunch of stuff from that. Could be an unlockable car, yeah, that's true. Because, I mean, with all these games, the secret missions, there has to be some kind of reward, I would guess, out of that. And then, of course, as mentioned, 6 wild tracks, and it doesn't mention secret cars, but, maybe it's... that can be something that's there. Still haven't got a text yet from a guy at Raw Thrills to find out about that. But I wouldn't be surprised if there could be some update content update for this down the road. I mean, that happened with Cruise and Blast, sort of, when their license expired for stuff like the Lamborghini. They did change the cars and went to I think it was a Chevy license, or just all focused on that with like classic cars and stuff, which is probably a lot cheaper to do than some more recent new supercars and stuff. And so yeah, a lot of this stuff with cars depends on licensing. One reason why Maximum Tune 5DX Plus was so delayed was because of the licensing. And I remember talking with Bandai Namco about that, and yeah. And I am happy that they have 6 tracks. So that was one thing that I was not crazy about with Cruise and Blast, is that it only had 5 tracks, and that was a nice thing about the Switch version, is that they did come up with some more content. Yeah, they did borrow some levels from Superbikes 3, but honestly, I wouldn't care if they did a track update pack for Cruise and Blast that added that.
So I've been in contact with our shop and mall management, and they're going back and forth.
Okay.
So it's not that we eventually won't be able to get up there, but we won't be able to get up there today.
Okay.
So what I would do, honestly, is get up there and just turn it on and see what happens. You're not
Gotcha.
going to cause any more damage than already,
Right.
if there is any.
Gotcha.
Because there may not be any to begin with.
Mhm.
Usually there's a couple 5/16 screws that hold a panel in place.
Right.
Or it will just slide in place.
Right.
One of the two.
And that's what the maintenance guy, because he went up there and he's the one that took the
Noticed.
pictures and
Okay.
and noticed that, and he's like,
Do you
well, I
have-
wanted.
Do you have those pictures?
I don't,
Okay.
unfortunately. It's with the mall maintenance
Okay.
guy, though, so
Okay.
I don't know if you could ask him if he could do it. He just said, I was going to turn it on, but I wasn't sure because the panel was missing, so I decided not to.
Well, and if the panel's not even there, where did it go?
Right, that's what I was wondering, too, because it's like,
Who
shouldn't
took
it
it
just
off
be
and
there?
Where did it go?
Right,
Right.
right, because it wouldn't be me.
Because getting a panel, depending on which one it is like pulling teeth from manufacturers. Because they
Right.
don't have panels just laying around.
Right, especially if this is an old thing.
I'm
so.
sure it is.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is. So that's where we're at. What I would do is talk with mall management and say, who do you recommend? Who's already, a part of your group
Mhm.
that you would call on to come out here?
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. I'm not going to charge you anything.
Okay, thanks.
Just because I haven't been able to look at
right,
anything. So,
thanks, sure.
so that's where we're at. In the future, they'll have our information,
Okay.
and you'll be able to use it. It's just going to take a little bit of time for them to get all
Sure,
the
yeah, that
insurance
makes
and
sense.
all that garbage.
Okay.
They said we'd been out here before, so I assume they already had it.
Right, yeah, that's what I would assume
Even
too.
the office said we've been out here before. And so, but she's flipping open and checking.
can't
her
find it.
folder. Can't find it.
Think you'd be in the front since you guys start with the letter A, so.
Let's put it alphabetically.
Right.
Let's make this easy. So that's where we're at. I'm gonna go back to the office, give them all of the email addresses and names that they need.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, you're
So,
fine.
I've been.
I appreciate you coming out,
today.
so yeah.
Yeah,
Get
absolutely.
your steps in.
Best of luck.
Thank
Okay.
you so much.
You
Have a
got
good
it.
one.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Sorry about that. With live streaming, I guess that's what can happen when you're running a retail store business and everything. But anyways, I was talking about tracks. So yeah, Cruise and Blast, I wasn't terribly happy that it only came with 5. Now granted, a lot of Sega racers have only come with 3, like Virtua Racer or Daytona. And so yeah, it's not been a big thing to have tons of tracks. Now granted, with the previous Fast and Furious games, like we talked about earlier, I don't remember how many Fast and Furious had. Yeah, 12. So I had their first racing game had twice as many tracks, and then with Tokyo Drift they added on to that. Can't remember how many. 7 new Japanese tracks in addition to the 12 original, and then up to Supercars that had something crazy. Yeah, 27 tracks and 10 new cars on top of what they had. And so I wouldn't mind it if something like the Cruise and Blast had come with some remastered tracks from Cruis'n USA World or Exotica, and then the same thing with this new game. It would be a nice nod and also create more to do to remaster one of the old Fast and Furious tracks, but I don't know how much that costs to be able to do. As we saw here, I mean, now when this was first revealed at Bowl Expo, operators were being quoted $25,000 per single unit. Now this lease, with the math, it makes it actually sound like it's a pair. It's not 100% clear, but it sounds like this whole lease still is for a pair of machines, and it comes out to somewhere around $33,000. So maybe they changed the price. I don't know. I mean, still, it's an expensive game, and for that reason, I'm just not looking at getting one, because in my own business, this is a very, very tough year, especially for entertainment, and so I just can't afford a lot of these things. I need to pay off some bills first, pay off some leases first, like my Minecraft and whatnot, before I go buying new stuff. But yeah, that pretty much gets us up to speed on what is available from, or what's coming from Raw Thrills at IAAPA. And like George mentions in the chat, yeah, I mean, right now, if I do look at anything new, it's going to be used. That, or it's going to be something that's new that's going to be under $10,000. Now, at IAAPA, there will be a couple of manufacturers that will have some under $10,000 things, XR Arcadia and Incredible Technologies. But for Sega, Bandai Namco, Raw Thrills, I'm not 100% sure. Bandai Namco might have they should have the Pac-Man Battle Royale Championship, the standard version. I'm not 100% sure where that price tag is currently, but I think it's somewhere around $6,000-$7,000, and then the upgrade kit is something like $1,500 or maybe less. But yeah, so yeah, that pretty much does it. But let me know what you think in the comments about Fast and Furious, and I guess to a couple of questions. Samurai Showdown's doing all right so far. I've only had it for a week. Hi. Now, if there's something off that you want to play, let me know. I can turn it on. There you go. And let's see if I have to yell at him about the stick shifters. But, you know, with any game, it's always a little difficult to tell early on. Just needs time, and things have been very, very slow lately overall. But Samurai's been doing fine so far. And yeah, I saw that Connect 4 basketball. I mean, they do have two versions. It's the larger one that goes for that $35,000, I think. But also like Carnival Wheel, which is a new wheel won by a company called Team Play, is also something like $28,000. And I've had an operator telling me, why would I buy one of those when I could get two big bass wheels and that topper thing for maybe even less than that? And Big Bass Wheel, even though it's been out for years, it still manages to make tons and tons of money. And so it's always a good question. But of course, there's just the realities of manufacturing things these days, and it being very expensive to do so. You know, inflation has screwed up so much out there, and it gets passed along to us and then to the consumer, and then of course that makes charge per game go up. I'm sure many of you have seen it, Round One USA and Dave & Buster's and all that stuff, that, you know, your base prices have gone up too, and it's tough. But hopefully we'll get out of it. Like I said, XR Arcadia is going to be unveiling something at IAAPA, which is, I think, going to be a great option for operators, and it's not even close to $10,000. I think it's like half that, and so I'll be covering that. But thanks for watching this live stream on Fast and Furious, even though I've had to pause a couple of times to help customers or talk with the AC guy. But we'll see you around and catch you on the next video.